Hey guys, I'm gonna leak all of the mods D-Maxing uses to make his Minecraft look and feel brand new. Don't tell him. Also, just a disclaimer, this is not an in-depth showcase of every mod. We're starting with 3D armor. It makes armor 3D. It just makes sense. Why does armor float over you in vanilla? 3D skin layers. It makes the outer skin layer 3D. It just makes sense. Without it, your skin is falling off. Advancementinfo reloaded. It full screens the advancement tab unless you see all the requirements needed for any advancement. For versions below 1.21, I use Advancementinfo. AmbientSounds. It adds all kinds of ambient sounds to your world. Damn, these people are good at naming their mods. AppleSkin. It adds more info to Minecraft's hunger system by showing how much hunger a food restores, works with mods, how much saturation a food restores, also works with mods, and how much you'll heal from the saturation provided. Better clouds. It makes the clouds better. These people are too good at naming their mods. Boat item view. It lets you see the item you're holding in your hand while in a moving boat. For some reason, this isn't a vanilla feature. It's configured by default to only show maps, but you can add any item you'd like. Camera overhaul. It makes the camera move depending on what you do. Breaking stuff has a subtle camera shake. Being near an explosion also has a very subtle camera shake. And using an elytra makes you feel way cooler. You're gonna have to tone down the effect though, because leaving it at default may lead to motion sickness. I will say though, the motion is pretty sick. Continuity. It lets certain block textures connect to each other to look better. Cool rain. So cool. It makes rain sound different depending on what block the rain lands on. Very cool. Diagonal rails. It's a resource pack that makes diagonal rails actually diagonal, because this is not it. Minecarts rotate at a 45-degree angle while moving diagonally anyway, so might as well make the rails match up. Only reason I added this in the first place is because I might start using rails a lot for a future series that might be coming up soon. Drip sounds. It adds drip sounds to water particles. Nuff said. Effectual. It adds a whole load of ambient effects such as sparks from metal on metal contact, although they do just kinda ascend to heaven for some reason, and effect auras depending on what effect you have. Here's the full list of features. EMI. It adds this very minor, slightly important feature to the inventory menu that lets you see every single item and crafting recipe from any mod you add to your game, as well as crafting trees. You know, not too big of a deal or anything. I also use just enough resources to display mob drops, EMI Loot for displaying loot tables, and EMIffect for effect descriptions, although it depends on the mod author to write the descriptions. When a mod is compatible with it, it's really nice. Essential mod. It adds a social menu and the ability to host your worlds from your computer without a server and invite your friends to play. I use it for its cosmetics, specifically this little guy right here. Note that cosmetics are paid with in-game currency that you can't buy an exact amount of, so they will force you to pay extra. Explosive enhancement. It enhances explosives. I gotta know how these people come up with such good mod names. Falling leaves. It adds falling leaves. Fine, I'll stop with the mod name jokes. Fancy toasts. It makes advancement toasts fancier. Fresh animations. It's a resource pack that reanimates almost every mob in the game. I use it with one of its add-ons, Fresh Animations Objects, to give life to things like chests, boats, and minecarts as well. These require entity model features and entity texture features to work though. Gentler weather sounds. It's a resource pack that makes rain gentler on the ears. It also changes the thunder sound and makes it way more cinematic. Goop. It makes slimes and magma cubes leave behind splatters of themselves, makes killing them more fun. Immersive Hotbar. It makes the hotbar more lively. Item interactions mod. It makes using the inventory more fun by adding movement effects to any item you drag and particles for certain items and blocks. Pairing it with the item interactions resource pack adds even more effects to certain items and blocks. On newer versions of Minecraft, you get quite interesting movement effect options. I genuinely want this one for older versions so bad. Jade. It adds this little element at the top of your screen which tells you what you're looking at and how much health and armor it has if it's a mob, as well as what effects are on it. Mass effects. It adds cool particle animations to certain events like mace hits, totem pops, which reminds me of Sadist's hawk hunt totem animation, and player deaths. It also adds a cool ender pearl trail.
Particle effects.
It adds unique textures to every vanilla potion effect.
Particle interactions.
It adds particles to certain interactions like placing blocks or using flint and steel, and adds particles when using blocks like anvils with certain effects having unique interactions. Here's the full list of features.
Particle range.
It fundamentally changes the way weather is displayed, letting you change every aspect like speed and density alongside ground fog. I just like the feature where the angle of the rain changes depending on your speed.
Particular.
It adds more decorative ambient particles like water cascades and cake crumbs, as well as splashes. Here's the full list of features.
Polytone.
This one is very important. It's required for the resource pack Visual Effects Plus to work, which I replaced shaders with. It's the resource pack that overhauls how vanilla Minecraft looks, and I think it's a lot better than shaders because it feels extremely Minecraft-y. I also use Respackopts to configure it.
President's footsteps.
It changes the sound of your footsteps and adds a whole lot more unique footstep sounds to certain blocks.
Raised.
It raises your hotbar, preventing it from getting cut off by a pixel like it does in vanilla. You're welcome for showing you that.
Shulker Box Tooltip.
It lets you see what's inside your shulker boxes without you having to place every single one down to find something.
Shimmer.
It adds a bloom effect to glowing blocks, so it's like pseudo shaders. I use it with the blooming blocks resource pack that adds bloom to even more blocks.
Simple grass flowers.
It's a resource pack that adds simple grass flowers scattered around grassy areas, including nether biomes.
Sinytra Connector.
This one's also important. It allows a bunch of these ambient mods that are fabric only to work with Forge/NeoForge.
Smooth skies.
It removes the weird line in the sky.
Sound physics remastered.
It remasters the way sound travels in the game. This is most obvious when you're in echoey areas, but it also muffles sounds like rain when you're indoors.
Sounds.
That's a whole lot of UI sounds, including but not limited to typing sounds and block and item sounds.
Status effect bars.
It adds duration bars to effects.
Subtle effects.
It adds a whole arsenal of subtle effects, ranging from ambient effects such as running dust particles and eye placement beams to interactions like rings when you drink a potion to the tiniest of features like heart particles having a pop animation. Here's all the features.
Tightfire.
It makes fire actually stick to surfaces like slabs and fences.
Vectorientation.
It adds squash and stretch effects to falling blocks. Very satisfying.
Visuality.
It adds even more ambient particles like sparkles to shiny things, very subtle reminders that you're running over souls, and hit particles on certain mobs like slimes and skeletons. Here's a list of all the features. There's also a few mods that I'm keeping an eye on, like Vibrancy, which adds pseudo ray tracing to vanilla lighting, and Locomotion, which is like a perfect blend between hold my items and actions and stuff. I'll probably make this video once a year, updating it with all the new mods I find and use in my videos. I mean, demaxing uses in his videos. And that's it. That's all the ingredients for demaxing super secret Minecraft sauce. Subscribe because I'm sure he'll be using this channel a lot more soon. And feel free to suggest other mods he should add in his base mod pack because I'm sure there's a lot his bum doesn't know about. Not me though. I'm the cool one here.